Good evening. Call the meeting of September 17th to order, the East Providence City Council. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Fogarty. Councilman Lawson.
Here.
Council Vice President Rigo.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Sousa.
Here.
Council President Rodrick.
Here. Let the record show there are 4 members present. Councilman Fogarty is home ill this evening. Please rise for the pledge. Tracy Johnson, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance.
Evening, everyone. And the solicitor is also on his way. If there is a critical legal question, we'll hold off. I did speak with him, and he had an unavoidable delay, which I understood fully. So we'll continue until and if we have a legal question. So, Madam Clerk, if you could start the agenda. We will hold off on executive session for now.
Under consent calendar, you have tax abatements for 2024 in the amount of $444.56.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
You have the option to bundle licenses 1 through 6.
I'll make a motion to bundle 1 through 6.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza to bundle the license items 1 through 6. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that. Is there a motion to,
So moved, just to get the conversation going, but I'll move that we approve.
motion by Councilman Lawson to approve the bundled items 1 through 6 for discussion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Souza. Discussion from the council?
I'm good.
None.
No questions. Is there was the motion to approve and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have. Next item.
Under public hearing, we have a new liquor license application from the Outsider Cooking Company on 1055 South Broadway.
Mr. President,
Yes, Council Vice President.
at this time I have to abstain because of my business prep.
Thank you.
Are all the approvals in, police, all those? Everything's in? Okay.
Any other questions from the council?
Council VP.
While we're waiting for that, could you read the applicant one more time?
The applicant is Victor Foley. His business is the Outsider Cooking Company located at 1055 South Broadway.
The applicant present. Can you step up, sir? Thank you.
You can just go right to the podium there. That's okay. Just give me a name and address for the record.
Good evening, Council. Victor Foley, and my address is 1055.
Welcome. Councilwoman?
So just wanted to know, what is the intention for the liquor license? Like, what is your vision? Because I know it's a really nice pizza place. I've seen a lot of movement on social media and heard a lot of things from people who have gone there. So congratulations on having a successful small business in the city. Can you tell us what your vision for your business plan is to have the liquor at that establishment?
Sure. So we're open 5 days a week
Mhm.
from 4 to 9. That's Wednesday through Sunday. And we're just trying to provide our customers with beer and wine options.
Okay.
I feel like it would pair well. It's a, I don't know if you've been in, but it's a little bistro,
Mhm.
French style. So beer wine is really just what we're trying to provide that before.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for answering that question. I have no further questions. I move for full.
Any other council questions? Okay, the motion is seconded by Councilman Lawson. This is a public hearing. Anyone is present like to speak for or against this petition, please come forward at this time. Ask one more time if anyone present would like to speak on this item, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. And Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Sousa,
Aye.
Council President Rodrick.
Aye. Thank you. Motion
Congrats.
passes 3-0. Good luck.
Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you. Next item.
Under Communications, John R. Peters speaking on Sabin Point Park.
Peters, just come forward, please, right to the podium. Just give your name and address for the record.
My name is John Peters. I live at 14 Shore Road, which is up from Sabin Point Park.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been, I know I only have 3 minutes, but I'll try and give the Reader's Digest version. Sabin Point Park right now has a herd or flock of approximately 25 to 36 geese. They call that area home now. If you can, please drive down there, park in the parking lot, and see if you can make it to the other side of the parking lot without stepping in goose debris. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but goose droppings have E. coli in them. The kids are down there playing, rolling balls in it, falling down with their hands on the grass, and we have a major health problem. I have a solution to that. The solution is if I can get city permission, an agent of the city to sign a green permission card by the state. Now until the 30th, I can harvest with a foo-foo arrow geese. I know it's not popular.
You want to hunt geese at Sabin Point?
Correct. We would do it 66 yards from the nearest house. We're allowed 200 feet, which is 66.6 yards. We would herd them close to the shore, because I've been doing this for almost a week. We would herd them close enough to the shore. We would not shoot at them until they were on soft, either grass or sand, and then we would shoot them with foo-foo arrows. Now, these arrows only go 20 yards, but I've been able to walk up 5 feet away from them. That's 15 feet. And I can shoot a quarter, put 3 arrows in a quarter at 15 feet. I need about 4 other hunters. We would go in a half an hour before sun up when they come up from the beach, walk to the grass, and then we would harvest as many as we could in the second or two that we would only have to shoot at them.
When you say foo-foo, does that kill them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. This arrow will go clean through and stick in the ground. The backstop,
And what are you going to do with all these dead geese?
eat them. We would eat them.
We could take your suggestion and run it up the ladder.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Actually, that was communications, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Candy Seal speaking on public safety in the parkway. Yes.
Welcome, Ms. Seal.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I wish tonight to read into the public record 2 emails that I sent recently, one to the Waterfront Commission and one follow-up to the City Council with very brief remarks after that. This will take no more than 5 minutes. If that, I appreciate your indulgence. On September 5th, I wrote an email to Ray Levy, Executive Director of the East Providence Waterfront Commission, Chairman William Fazioli, copied Planning Director Brines and Police Chief Francesconi. Good morning. I am writing on behalf of Keep Metacomet Green with the request that the commission require Marshall/Metacomet Properties to produce an updated public safety report to be subsequently peer reviewed. The increased traffic flow along the parkway from the additional 11,000 projected annual daily vehicle trips will be substantial. The addition of 30 daily delivery trucks, 60 round trips for the grocery store will be even more so. This figure does not include the other 60,000 square feet of commercial space, which could include a large pharmacy, a furniture and or appliance store, a hardware and or garden shop, and a general merchandise store. All units will have need for deliveries. If there are an additional 20 delivery trucks per day, 40 round trips, that represents a total of 100 round trips per day. This does not take into account the 10-year construction traffic and delivery traffic to 890 units of housing. By law, trucks are prohibited on the parkway other than trucks making deliveries to a parkway address. Currently, very few trucks at all traverse the parkway and don't draw much attention from law enforcement. However, with the increase of upwards of 100 daily round trips by delivery trucks between the highway and Lyon Avenue, and with the additional 11,000 vehicles, what burden will this place on our police department? Will traffic officers be able to distinguish delivery trucks from non-delivery trucks in the effort to enforce the law? Will they pull them over? Will they even have the time to bother? Public Safety Impact Report submitted to Marshall by Christopher W. Bruce on December 28, 2023, did not even mention enforcement of traffic laws as an aspect of public safety. As we know, that job is an important part of policing. Mr. Bruce stated that the short time given him, 1 month during the holidays, and the unavailability of much of the required data made his report, quote, less complete than I would like, end quote. He recommended in his conclusion a more complete study given more time. To our knowledge, the public safety report has not been updated, nor has a peer review been conducted. At the beginning of this process, the commission agreed that all impact studies would be peer reviewed unless there was universal agreement that one was not necessary. At the commission's public hearing on December 21st, 2023, Marshall listed a number of impact studies to be submitted, including the one on public safety, which came in a week later. At the close of the meeting, the commission voted to accept the list. During discussion, Commissioner Amoroso asked whether peer reviews were part of the vote, and Chairman Fazioli said that they were. An updated study and peer review of this issue is necessary and warranted. The author of the public safety report himself said it was rushed and incomplete. The commission voted for the peer review. I submit this request for the record. Please share it with the other members of the commission. Thank you, Candy Seal. Several days later, September 11th, I forwarded that email to the council members with this message. Good afternoon, members of the council. I'm forwarding to you an email that I sent last week to the Executive Director and Chair of the Waterfront Commission. Planning Director Brines and Police Chief Francesconi were copied. I have not received a response from any of them. This issue should be of great concern to you and everyone in East Providence. I do not know if you or Chief Francesconi had been aware of the scope of anticipated increased traffic on the parkway, nor the burden that it will place on our police department in controlling that additional traffic. You will recall that the previous council voted to limit development along the parkway to its traffic capacity. Those words appear in the design guidelines not only for the Metacomet subdistrict, but for the Kettle Point and Veterans Memorial Parkway subdistricts as well. We urge you to place this issue on an upcoming docket for discussion for the edification of the public. They are certainly in the dark as well, despite our continuing efforts to inform them. Thank you, Candy Seal. Yesterday, 2 of you responded to my email of September 11. Thank you for that. You both expressed confidence in the appointed Waterfront Commission and have chosen to leave it to them to do the right thing. You both compared the Metacomet project to Kettle Point. You suggested that Kettle Point has not added considerably to traffic on the parkway and that fears about the Metacomet development are unfounded. That is an apples to orange oranges comparison. Kettle Point has a total of 290 residential units and the 90,000 square foot University Orthopedics building. Traffic in and out is moderate and requires only a turn lane and a flashing sign to indicate vehicles entering the parkway from Kettle Point Drive. Excuse me. On the other hand, Metacomet, or the Met, as is currently named, will have 890 residential units and a total of 153,000 square feet of commercial retail space, including the 95,000 square foot grocery store complex. Vehicles will be entering the site nonstop all day long. If approved, this will require a roundabout at Lyon Avenue with 800 feet of 4 lanes in both directions. Oversight of Metacomet was offloaded to the Waterfront Commission by the council in 2021. Nothing seems to have changed. Once again, the public is left to fend for itself. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Candy. I just want to add, as I said when I responded to you, I will personally meet with police and fire chiefs at some point and just make sure that they stay aware of the continuation of this project, and that everything that has been approved prior, that we go by it and live by it. And we will wait and see. You know, the peer review of all these things, I haven't read the entire document. I did read summaries, and you're correct, all that wording is there. So they just need to adhere to it. But I do think the Waterfront Commission has done good things on all of the projects they've been involved with. Some of them more so than this one. They're involved in the after planning of some of this. So the project has been approved, and so far so good. The Met has been well received, as you acknowledged too. So we'll take it a day at a time.
That's Met Links, the golf course.
Yes,
Yes.
Met Links, right?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks for your time. Yeah.
I have Nancy Hale speaking on money for sustainability or energy resiliency.
Red light on?
All right. Nancy Hale, 889 Bullocks Point Avenue. And I guess you all have received the budget for next year, and it's not budget, right? Jill?
We will be receiving it later tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it is sort of a leftover question from prior times when I've spoken about. I'm going to skip energy resilience, but focus on sustainability, which I'm, less trash, less plastics. So one of my ideas is for a sort of park ranger position to be reminding residents and visitors to our parks of our collective expectations, that they take their litter when possible home with them and clean up after their dogs and keep their cigarette butts in wherever they should be. So park ranger jobs could also help remind people that their dogs need to be on leashes, all of that kind of stuff, because the signs don't work. Signs just don't work. There is now a sign at Crescent Park Beach, which really isn't exactly a beach, but so the sign as you go down the stairs is mostly about keeping dogs on leashes and, cleaning up after your dog. And it also says, violators will be fined. How's that going to happen? Cameras? It's a problem already. And if you don't have people walking around reminding residents and visitors to our city what our expectations are, the problems aren't going to go away. There's going to be more litter and, plastic bags with dog excrement dropped on sidewalks. It's all over the place. So I would like to see, while you guys and ladies and administration are working out the budget, some kind of plan for keeping our streets, our sidewalks, our parks, and everything else, in much better condition. It's all over the city. Council members know it. And I think the administration knows it too. The only other thing I would love to see, which wouldn't cost much money, I hope, would be something in the Post or the Reporter that could do some sort of recognition of small businesses that are actually doing sustainable actions. For example, less plastics, bags, straws, lids, whatever, plastic. There are businesses in Riverside Square, I know, that offer metal straws. There are businesses using compostable takeout containers. They're switching over. Consignment stores that are doing, reusable clothing. So it'd be nice if those stores could be recognized somehow and to encourage more actions like that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hale.
William Lewis speaking on water sewer billing. Under council members, city council, administration, communication.
Hang on one second. I'm sorry. I was in a sidebar with the VP here, and so, at this point, without objection, I want to move up a couple of presentations. I would ask first that the superintendent of schools, Dr. Ferran, and the financial officer for the school department, Craig Enos, if they would come forward and make their presentation of the school department budget, either the podium or here. Yeah, you may be comfortable just sitting right here. Oh, there are no chairs there. Okay.
You can come sit up here if you want. We're cutting Tony's stipend.
Thanks. Thank you both for coming, and you can proceed.
Good evening. Tonight, we're presenting the school budget that was approved mid-July by the school committee. I'd like to just begin by highlighting our goals. These are in our district strategic plan: academic excellence for all students, social emotional learning to support academic learning, educators focus on continuous learning, and family and community engagement. So all of our budget priorities focus on those 4 areas. Just a brief snapshot of our enrollment right now. We have, and this changes every day at the beginning of the year, but right now we're at 5,285 students. And then you can see our enrollment history over the last 5 years. We're down a little bit right now, but again, that fluctuates throughout the year. Our special education enrollment, is at 1,117 students, and actually, I think it's a little higher than that. That was our August count, which is just over 21% of our population. And as you can see, since 2021 school year, we've gone up significantly. And then this is actually our biggest increase. So these are our multilingual language learners. We've had an increase since last year of 90 students. So many of these students are new to the country, have limited English skills. And so we've seen a big increase for probably the last month. And these are all East Providence residents, people that have moved into the city. This year, we actually received a cut to state aid of about $150,000. So we had to significantly reduce our budget. So these are the cuts that we made to personnel. We eliminated 3 resource teachers at the elementary level. We ended up closing 3 kindergarten classes throughout the city. So most of our kindergarten classes are at 25 right now. We eliminated an elementary MLL teacher. We had an instructional coach that we cut. We were lucky enough to receive a grant from RIDE after the fact. So we were able to pay for that for 1 year. We closed a 1st grade and we closed a 4th grade all due to enrollment. And we've cut 5 paraprofessional positions and moved some others around.
Sandy, just 1 second before you
Yep.
move on. Can you just explain what a paraprofessional is for those who are watching?
Sure. So our paraprofessionals, we have close to 150. They support classrooms by assisting the teacher, working with individual students. We have a paraprofessional in every special ed classroom, some more than one. We also, our state pre-K has a paraprofessional that helps out in every classroom, and they assist with lunch and recess also.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Budget items that we had to add back in this year, we had a 5th grade class at Francis that was a bubble class, so we had to add a 3rd, 5th grade. We added 2 speech language pathologists because our numbers are really increasing. We paid for summer school staffing, which was previously in our ESSER budget, which we don't have that money anymore. Web-based software, custodial supplies, additional substitute compensation, and our ESY summer program were all in ESSER funding prior to this, and all had to be absorbed back into the school department budget.
Yes, why it's an extended school year.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. I just learned that a
Yep.
couple weeks ago.
I'll try. No, that's,
I mean, I'm
Fine.
used to summer school. I remember that.
yeah. So the ESY is for our special ed population. These are all grant-funded positions that we currently have in the school department that are not in the budget, but that are in our classrooms. And then I just wanted to highlight where we saw our major increases for this budget year. We had a $450,000 healthcare increase, 1.375 million in salaries by contract. And actually, we were anticipating initially over 2 million, but because of the personnel cuts we made, it brought that line item down. We had just over $400,000 in transportation costs that were an increase this year. And just a couple of the bigger items besides salary and benefits that impact our budget that really are out of our control are the 6.5 million in out-of-district placements and 7.46 million in transportation costs overall. We just wanted to highlight some of the facility updates that we did last year. So if you haven't been to Riverside, I invite you to come and visit. It should be complete in the next week or so. We upgraded the library and media center, both floors, 6 brand new science classrooms and new windows throughout the entire building. Obviously the pre-K and Martin Middle School building, which is moving very fast. If you haven't been by lately, a lot of the steel has gone up on the middle school side. We had the Waddington building project that we finished, which was closing in all those classrooms. We are in the process of finishing up the Francis boiler. We put up the Orlo fence. Both the Francis boiler and the Orlo fence were capital improvement projects, thanks to the council last year. We had a $100,000 grant to redo the courtyard in the middle of Orlo. We created additional ALP classrooms, so we now have 2 alternative learning program classrooms in the central office building. So instead of sending students out of district, our high school students, we're now keeping them in district and they're housed in our building. So we feel as if we can support students better in their learning needs and it is a cost savings for the district. We did some of the univents at White Neck, a new gym curtain at Riverside Middle School, and some dishwashers, and we're working on a walk-in freezer at Riverside Middle School. So those were some of our major capital improvements this year. Our maintenance priorities for next year, our biggest one is our building management system, which is estimated probably closer to the $500,000 mark. We actually have been working with Rhode Island Air Masters on some incentives on that. So we're exploring that. That controls all the heating and the air conditioning in the buildings. Currently, we don't have the ability to do that. So that's our number one priority. Our elementary intercom systems, many of them are original to the buildings, so we're experiencing difficulty with a lot of them. We are going to also try and pursue some safety money for this, but each one is approximately $160,000 on a total of $1.5 million. Replacing the univents at White Neck, Silver Spring, Orlo, and Oldham. Those are the heating units inside the classroom. Again, most of them are original to the building. If you remember, we had some issues at White Neck this winter where we had some flooding. That was the reason. And that's approximately $478,000. We need a new roof at some point on Oldham, which is approximately $1 million. And we looked at paving all of our playgrounds and our walkways at the different schools, and that's $674,000 approximately. So those are some of the capital improvements that we're looking at this year. And this is our budget. So we're going to present the whole budget, but we're going to highlight some of the areas where we've seen the biggest increases. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask.
Hi, everyone. So beginning in what we call the 51,000 series, so that's everything to do with salaries. Overall, there's a 2.6% increase over the current fiscal year. The yellow arrow there that we have there, we just wanted to highlight. So for our substitute line item, we needed to add some more funds into that line item. We have, as you know, staff are entitled to take their time off. And so we felt that the budget line item for this year, we've already gone through that. But so the total for the 51,000 series for salaries, $55,303,291. Moving on to the benefits in the 52,000 series, a 3.4% increase over the current fiscal year. Again, a big hitter for us is our healthcare insurance. We still have that a significant prescription claim. It's about $1 million a year. And so with that, coupled with the mandated increases to the employees' retirement system, we have some increases there. A good note, the workers' compensation premium, after years of increases, we have a reduction. And that's due to the hard work of our staff who are really being cautious and working safer. So total for the 52,000 series, $24,025,397. For the 53,000 series, the professional and technical services, a 5% reduction over the current year. Due to the hiring of speech therapists that we had, so we could reduce the outside services that we are purchasing. As the superintendent had mentioned, we are now having to include all of our educational software. So that line item there, $400,000, is what we had in the ESSER grant. That's now coming back into the general fund. Keep going, next slide. And then just wanted to point out line 53502, tech services. So we are extremely proud of our internship program that we have with the high school students. It has been so successful that a recent hire in the department is a former student who was in the internship program. So we've got a slight increase to that line there. So total for the 53,000 series, 1,615,000. 54,000 series, this is anything to do with property services to maintain our buildings and grounds. Overall, there's a 5% reduction over the current year. 55,000 series, this is the other services. Superintendent had already talked about our big increase to the transportation, $400,000. Lines 55, 630, 640, and 650. Just wanted so those are all of the tuitions for out of district. Superintendent had mentioned to you that we have created our own alternative learning program. So the $771,000 that we budgeted for this current year, we were able to move that to zero because all of those students are now staying within the city. And so the total for the 55,000 series, $14,942,274. 56,000 series for the supplies, a 16% increase over the current year, primarily due to utilities. We have the custodial supplies coming in. I must say, the school department joined the city with the green energy program. We are reaping the benefits. We are very grateful to see the credits come in every month. That's helping to keep the electricity costs down. So the total for the 56,000 series, excuse me, $2,539,000.
Greg, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
The custodial supplies, was that being covered somewhere else?
That was being covered through the grant.
Oh, okay.
So just like that web-based software, that's now coming back in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In the 57,000 series, so once again, due to the budgetary constraints for the other areas that we had to focus on, we were not able to put any funds in the land improvements or the building improvement line items. 57,311 tech hardware, tech software. So this is all the operational software that we have for the district. That too was covered by the grant that has now coming back. So the total for the 57,000 series, $250,000. For the miscellaneous, for the 58,000 series, same as last year, no increases. Total is $82,000. So this brings our total expense budget to $99,396,962. When we talk about the revenue pieces, how are we going to pay for it? So we are here tonight to ask you for the maximum increase we can ask you for of $2.2 million. So that would bring our local fund appropriation to $57,203,620. As the superintendent had already said, we are seeing a slight decrease in state aid, $38,857,751. We have the tuition. So this is for all the students that are coming in from the other districts to the Career and Technical Center, $1.4 million. So now that the lunch program is operating and running, that'll probably be a little bit more higher, actually. But we budgeted for the 1.4 million. Rental income. So we upped that to this current year, it's for 125,000. We upped that to 190,000. We're just close to 160,000 year to date. So we still have a couple more months left. Refund prior year's experiences. There's always a refund that we have to log in for the prior year, $25,000. For Medicaid, so any students that are covered by Medicaid, we can get reimbursed for those services. We have a provider that we pay for those services, $1,250,000 coming back in. Finally, and then the two last pieces, TIAA, so part of the employees retirement system, the great changes that were done in 2009, all of the cities get back a portion for the certified staff only of TIAA. So that's approximately the next year going to be $130,000. For the miscellaneous, in order for us to make the budget work, we are going to be taking a one-time withdrawal out of our OPEB account to cover the health insurance costs for retirees for next year. It's approximately $315,000. There was no other way. We had to make this work. And our account is doing well. And so we can take those costs out. So we're coming to you tonight to presenting the budget, expenses and revenues, $99,396,962. Thank you.
Thank you both. So the increase requested is 2.2 million, and appreciate the presentation. It was very, very direct and clear. Knowing that with any budget, there's always more that any department would like. Is there a glaring weakness, or lack of a better word, deficit of something you're not providing for the schools that you wish you could have? Obviously, you need more. Everyone needs more, but it appears that you're fairly stable moving forward. The schools, the bond issues are all on time and doing well. Martin's moving along well. Some people don't realize that Martin Bond also helped out with Waddington, Riverside, Middle School. So there seems to be a lot of progress there. But if you had a one-item wish list, item, not a list, what would it be? If anything, you don't have to. I just want to make sure in my mind there isn't one glaring hole somewhere in what you need. Yeah.
Maybe tilt it up a little bit more as the volume.
I suppose now you want a new microphone in the budget. Hang on a sec. For those at home, who maybe can't see this, we're just having a technical issue with microphone. The gentleman is working on it. If you want to go to the podium and speak, they could just do that, because I know that's working. Yeah, why don't we just do that? That's okay. Well, okay, sorry for that. If you want to continue, you were saying Riverside was.
Sure. Riverside, the money for Riverside is coming out of our capital funds. We get a percentage reimbursement through FEI money through RIDE, but that will drain most of our capital. So it's always capital projects that we could have more money for. There's always something that needs to be done, as I'm sure you know.
The roof at Oldham, which is, some of us know, the old Meadow Crest building.
Yes.
Is that in danger of, is it leaking now? Or is there a current urgency?
So we've been patching it at this point. It will need to be replaced, but we have been putting patches on those leaks.
Sure. Any other questions from
Through the chair.
members? Yes,
I have a couple.
Councilwoman.
Thank you for clarifying. So in the revenue, it was mentioned TIAA reimbursement, that 400, the 340 goes back to, or is given back because of the certified pension or certified person? Is that, 'cause I'm wondering, does that assist with the increase?
Correct. So the $130,000 that we get back from TIAA, so that is strictly through the retirement for certified staff only.
Okay,
So
it-
that's a quarterly check that we get in that we recognize as revenue.
revenue, okay. But we're still, it's
Yep.
still
And
in the
then-
fiscal year we created an increase in that line item.
So then on the next line, so then the last line I talked about was the other post-employment benefits. So the OPEB account that we have that was started long before I started here, that's managed through Rhode Island Interlocal Risk Management Trust. The city has one as well. So over the years, we've been able to put in funds every so often. That money gets invested and it's managed. It's doing quite well. So we are, in order to make the budget work, to balance, an allowable withdrawal that we can take out is to cover the healthcare expenses of the retirees for the year. So that's what we're going to be doing.
And this is kind of a little bit off because I was wondering this a few weeks ago. As it pertains to the high school, so with the high school bond, when we were hitting those milestones, the city was getting the reimbursement from RIDE. Have we, to the best of your knowledge, received all of the reimbursement back for the money?
The reimbursements are still coming in. Malcolm will be happy to know. So we sent him the housing aid chart. So the city every year until we were talking about this today, I think until 2040 is going to be getting $333,000 as part of the incentives that we met on the high school. So that money comes in every single year.
Okay, and is that money going into the school departments, or are we, as the city, keeping it aside to pay back the bond?
The city keeps that.
Thank you. And then my last question, thank you for being patient, is Dr. Ferran mentioned about the maintenance plans that she listed. Do we have a 5-year capital improvement plan for the school? I'm sure you do. I would be, I'm sure, I don't know about the rest of the council, but I'd be interested in seeing what that projected plan is and the costs or estimated costs, in addition to what you presented today as priority items. I think that would be helpful because we know that, capital improvements just historically have not been easy, city and school, to get done. And I think the city's been doing a really good job at doing capital improvements within the city. And I think similar to last year, we need to kind of step up and do the same for the school department. So just to get an idea, in addition to the priorities that you've laid out tonight, I'd like to see what that 5-year looks like. Thank you. That's all, Council President.
Council Vice President Rego.
Thank you, Mr. President. When back on December 11th, that famous day, when the bridge went down, you were getting aid, you were getting assistance from the state for busing additional. My question is, have you received the payments?
As a matter of fact, last week, we just received the check.
First check?
The check. So
The check.
$66,000. It encompassed everything.
Okay.
We just got it.
Okay. And next question is more towards the superintendent. I know you mentioned this when we were at the volleyball game the other night too, the additional 90 students of, what impact does that have on when you're starting? Obviously, you were already starting this budget process long before the school enrollment. What impact do those 90 students have on this budget and what is the potential long term? Because obviously they're coming here from, they're not just coming here from one country, they're coming here from multiple countries. What does that do to your budget?
So it will require extra staffing, especially the majority. I think we had 40 new enrollments at the high school. So we didn't see it at the elementary school as much. We've seen it at the high school. So our staff is definitely stretched thin, that is servicing that population. So it is going to probably require additional staffing next year.
Councilman.
So you're asking the city for $57,203,620. We haven't seen the budget yet. Have you gotten any indication that you are receiving that full amount?
We've met with the mayor and we presented it to the mayor.
Okay. We haven't seen the
I
budget
think-
yet, so we don't know, but
Yeah, our indications have been that he was going to put that forward at the full amount.
okay. You
didn't
got my
ask us to
support that
cut.
the full amount be in there. And the capital projects, there's no way in hell I am going through this budget without Oldham's roof, the communications in these buildings. We just had that shooting in Georgia. They said one of the biggest things that helped was the school communication systems and the HVAC controls. We can't defer maintenance. We have to do it. Now, I heard there may be 3 million left over. So I'm going to respectfully ask that the administration and you guys let us know before we vote on this budget if that money's available. Because if not, I'm going to be pulling some of these vehicles out of the budget for capital because tiny townies are in that Oldham building and having a roof that needs to be fixed. Let's do it. You know, deferred maintenance over the years, we saw what happened. It doesn't work. It only kicks the can down the road. I looked at capital proposals. There's nothing there that I see that's a priority over those 3 things I just listed for the schools. So I'm going to ask, I don't know who determines if that extra bond money can be put into this budget for this. But if it is, I'd like to see a line item for those 3 things built into this budget.
Sure, I just would add that if there is, which there is, extra high school bond issue funding, once the project is closed out, which it's about to be, it does come to the city, you know, we're all one city, but its administration from that point on would come to the city administration, the city council, the mayor's office, to determine the use of that money. So we'll have a discussion on that when it comes.
So we can, if we don't have that answer by when we
can
vote,
use that money.
we can allocate the money to the school projects.
To anything,
And
really.
then if that 3 million comes through, then we can just unallocate it and use that 3 million.
Do it that way. And I do want to add that I think the mayor's budget, which they will be presenting tonight. Now, actually, it was scheduled to come before the school presentation, but I moved it up so that superintendent.
That says the capital budget. That doesn't say.
Well, but the other budget too will be getting tonight. So, and I'm pretty sure that it's being fully funded, but we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Yes, Councilman.
I agree with my counterpart from Ward 4 on those 3 issues. But the next question, and he raised it as far as the communications with the school and another tragedy a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. So my question to you, Mr. Superintendent, is are you comfortable with all the security? So obviously, God never knows what's going to happen, but are you comfortable with the security systems that are in the school? Because with this additional money, before I buy another snowplow, I want those schools to be as perfect, as close to being safe as possible, which I know that the word perfection only exists in the dictionary. So, because we know that this city is loaded with keyboard warriors and Monday morning quarterbacks.
The communication is our biggest issue right now. I mean, we have put a lot of work into, the cameras in the building and the alarm systems and the doors and the vestibules. So we have done a lot of that security work. We had, I think, 500,000 last year, so 2 years ago, in ride security money. They're actually putting that out again now, so we're going to pursue that also for some of the intercom systems. I'm hoping to get some of that. But the communication is our biggest issue.
We still have the resource officers covering the schools.
Do 2 at the high school and then 1 at each of the middle schools. And I have to say, we're very lucky in this city. We have an amazing partnership with the police department and the fire department. They both sit on our threat assessment team. We meet monthly. They do walkthroughs of our buildings. So anytime we have an issue, you may have heard there's been a lot of threats across the country. Just a lot of false threats. And so we're experiencing that same thing. The first thing we do is get in touch with the police department and assess the situation. And no matter what time, they're always there for us. So, in the community, each school has a community officer and they stop in there, at the elementary schools to spend time. So, I do very much appreciate the partnerships that we have with them.
Great.
You have my full support on your budget as well as the capital budget, as I said, because again, people come to the city because of schools. It increases the value of the houses, which the city, a great place to people want to live. You're going to education. If you're a young family and you're not going to go to a private school, you're going to look at how good's the education between city A or city B. And I want to be that city that they choose, along with obviously having having good police and fire coverage. But if you're starting with a young family, you're not going to pick a city that doesn't support their schools. And as Councilwoman Lawson said, for too long, it was Band-Aids on buildings. It was Band-Aids on the education aspect. And I commend you as a superintendent that looks at the education, and you've taken politics out of things, and you're making a curriculum that people can be proud of in the city, that you're putting the students' education first, and hopefully you'll start seeing that in scores from year in and year out. And I commend you and your staff for the great work you've done in the 2 years that we've been council members here.
Thank you. I appreciate
I got one more thing. About 3 weeks, a month ago, I sent an email to you and the administration asking to look if opera funds could be used for any of your maintenance things like univents that deal with air quality. Have you guys had that conversation? Is there any movement there?
Yep.
Sure. I was going to ask if the administration, I know the question was raised about budgets, and so if you want to join in.
Good evening, Council President and members of the council. So just to clarify, I know that there was some reference to capital as well as the budget. Just to clarify, what was going to be presented this evening was our capital budget, but I understand that's going to be held off till the end. Our Councilman, I know you said you haven't received our budget. It was sent to the council in a PDF per our charter rules, and
When did it get sent?
it was sent yesterday evening before midnight.
I saw a budget
And resent
message.
again this morning with an interactive link. I just wanted to make sure you received that.
It was from you?
That's correct. So that I just wanted to clarify that on the record. In reference to the 3 million and the discussions that we've actually had 2 meetings, I believe, with the superintendent and with our finance director. We also sent a letter, and I'd like to read into record to the council, which states that from the mayor, that we recently met with Superintendent Ferran and Craig Enos, myself, and Finance Director Malcolm Moore. We did discuss closing out the East Providence High School bond. Once the project's fully complete, we anticipate having an overage of approximately $3 million, not 11. And based on our conversation, our intent is to take that overage from the East Providence High School bond, use it to pay for future East Providence School Department capital improvements. The most financially beneficial plan to leverage these funds would be to withdraw those funds from the Rhode Island Health and Education Building Corporation, use the overage
to pay the debt service that's already budgeted in this fiscal year budget, the proposed budget. And then this will then result in debt service surplus that will then be placed into the capital and put in an interest-bearing account. So what does that mean? What we'll have to then come to the council to do is we'll be requesting, the mayor will request that the city council allocate to a very specific directed line in our capital improvement plan, the above mentioned plans, funds, so the $3 million to be used towards school improvement. So we're in the early stages of the conversation. We met at great length the other day. We're just waiting for that to be closed out, and we're awaiting action from the school building committee. And then obviously the East Providence School Committee before we can take anything further. But that's the plan. This was sent to.
Will it be done before the budget? Because I'm not passing a budget unless there's a line item for those three things.
We're waiting on the school bond. I don't know.
Well, somebody, I hope, gets the answers before.
There's been.
And I received the budget this morning at 9:30.
It was, you actually received two, Councilman. I was here upstairs until
Last
midnight
night, I
last
received the budget letter to the council, and this morning at 9:30.
It was also an attachment, Councilman. I was here at midnight sending it, so I know for sure.
I'm looking at my email right here.
There's a PDF attached and a link. It says it, and it just says that the interactive budget would be sent in the morning, but there's a link embedded.
So again, as long as those three items are in this budget, I'm fine. So I don't know who has to get moving to free up that money, but I hope it's done soon.
I think,
And what about the opera money for like Univent, stuff like that? Was that discussion ever had?
No, we haven't had that specific discussion. You mentioned one particular project, or you said the Univents. We
I
did tour
mentioned
the school.
anything opera can do
uh,
towards the school that fits under opera.
We did have conversation. We had conversation about those, and I believe the superintendent, and correct me if I'm wrong, superintendent, but the request was made to have cost of what those projects that were presented to us during our meeting would cost in bids, and I know that the superintendent was working on that.
Okay,
Correct. Yeah, we
okay.
did have two conversations about it. but we're
Because
just
we got till the
waiting-
end of the year for opera.
We're just waiting for that information.
Okay. Is there somebody that can move things along? Okay.
all right, thank you.
Bottom line, we're supporting your budget, and we're gonna make sure you get those three items.
Yeah, I think
in
it's
capital.
clear that this council, and I want to also add that this has been the case over the past, every budget that I've been involved with on both councils I've sat on, the school department has received their budget requests. We've been supportive, and we continue to do that. As my colleagues have said, that always wasn't the case. We did have problems with school maintenance and positions that were cut, salary line items. That's all behind us. We are working together, one city. We can have some differences in some items, but as far as this, I'm sure that school budget will be fully funded. That $3 million that will come back is definitely can be earmarked for school purposes. The issue, and we'll have more time to discuss this, but it's timing. You know, you don't just get a $3 million check next week from the bank and the bonding company, but it is ours.
I get that, but I'm not
There's
passing this
interest
budget
involved.
without
Now
a line
there's
item.
no interest. So if
Right.
that $3 million comes into our account and builds up interest at whatever rate is out there, that's a lot of money. So it will get done. It's just, let's do it the best way. Councilman.
I think what Councilman Lawson was just saying, and I'm going to say it bluntly, is we might not have the $3 million in our hand, but there's going to be a line in this budget for that $3 million that's going to be dedicated to the school department, and they're going to receive everything that we just talked about. The new HVAC systems in those schools that the superintendent talked about, that communication, because I got laughed at by the former chief of staff about fences up at Glenline, and sure as hell, 2 weeks later, there was a clown flying over there with a drone and people in that playground. And I was criticized about putting fences up. You don't think it can happen in this city? They didn't think it's going to happen in every other city and town in the United States. So those schools are going to be as secure as possible, that when we go to bed at night, we can put our heads down and say that our children are safe as possible. And again, the word perfection or perfect is a word in the dictionary. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and spend money on plow trucks before every single kid in this school isn't as safe as they can be. And shame on anybody who doesn't support that.
No, I don't hear any arguments on that point. We just need to do it the best and legal way. We'll get it done. Okay, thank you, Superintendent.
Tricia, I'm trying to look.
Appreciate it.
Is the school getting their full ask of 57 million change? I'm trying to look through real quick here.
And will we be receiving a printed version as we usually receive from the mayor's office? Or are we just getting the hyperlink?
No, I'm sure we're getting it printed, but if you want to ask those questions.
I think the
now-
school needs 99,396,962. And I'm trying to find where in the interactive budget that number.
You could bear with me one moment.
Yep.
There were two questions. One you were looking for, and what was the other question?
I just want to know how much does the school department get their full ask from the administration? I see your school committee talking junk about us. We're gonna,
So I will take
you
this
guys are doing an awesome job.
opportunity to
Noticed and appreciate it. I know that for sure, buddy. We know that, brother. We know that.
I would take this opportunity to
Long overdue, buddy.
if I can get a word in here, to acknowledge that three members of the school committee are here tonight with their superintendent and finance director, Anthony Ferrera, Ryan Queenan, Jessica Beauchesne. We appreciate their attendance.
To answer your question, Councilman, if you click on the table of contents and it's the budget overview in the first, I think, 3 slides, and you click on general fund expenses by department, the school department is the first one listed with a fiscal year proposed amount of $99,396,962.
Is that what you needed?
That's the same
So you
figure.
got your full amount. Awesome.
We just want to thank the council for all of your support, and not just here financially, but even just the support that you show for the schools when you show up for our parades and our games, and it's recognized and appreciated.
You might want to mention that while the meeting is being taped. We have Townie Pride Parade coming up.
The 27th at 4:45. 4:45, it's actually at the high school this year, girls soccer game.
Great.
Well, you got 3 of us that went through the system. You went through half of it, right? You put your kids through it. So there's a lot of pride for us to take care of the school department. Absolutely.
Thank you for coming tonight. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you can make sense of the agenda and figure out where we are.
So moving on to the presentation of the fiscal year 2025 capital budget proposal review and discuss.
Yes, we were going to just have that presented tonight, the capital budget, rather than go through the items. We'll do that later on in the workshops. Does the
Yeah, I'd rather wait
administration?
till we hear whether or not that money's going to be available for the
Right,
schools.
so I don't know if, Patricia, is there a handout for that? And then we'll discuss it at another meeting, the capital, of just what you gave us already, right?
I would make a motion to accept it, and then once we're done with the regular budget, then we can go back, and that's what we.
So motion by Councilwoman Souza to accept
Thank you
the,
for bringing these off to us.
document is presented, and we'll discuss at a later meeting.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
And if I may.
Yes, please.
Just to answer the question, so I left the printed copies of all
Yep.
the budget information in the 5-year plan at the dais with you. We did have Dominic Leonardo here to do a brief presentation, but I thought you had mentioned that the council wasn't interested in the presentation this evening and that you wanted to do it at the end after the
Yep,
workshop.
that was,
And
the council. We apologize to, Mr. Leonardo, but
it's
we,
okay. I did send him.
right, we thought we'd wait and save it for the workshops.
Right. And I did remember that the councilwoman, as I was walking away, had a question about the printed version. So yes, so typically what we've done in the past is we send the electronic version per the date, per the charter. And then once we come to do the budget presentation, we have the printed copies per the charter for the council, for the clerk, and for the public. But I'm happy to print all of those hard copies out for you to have in preparation, because I know you like the hard copy.
I thought today's was the presentation of, today was the day. Well, and I get what you're saying. You're saying, well, I sent you a link online this morning. But in my mind, it's always been we've always been given it
Correct, and you will, but today on the docket was the capital budget, not the proposed, because as you know, for previous years, the mayor comes, he presents
Right.
the budget.
Right.
We have copies for the public, and that's still going to be the case, but we were under the assumption that based on the docket that this evening, it was just capital budget that was being presented, and we're prepared for that. We had presentation, we had software placed on the laptop ready to present all of that. And,
Yeah, I thought, thank you for that. But I'm confused because the council, when we talked about this in workshops, we said that the capital improvement budget was going to be after. We weren't going to discuss any of those things until after. So I'm a little confused as to why it would have been placed on the docket today.
Well, that may have been me, because when they sent that, I think somebody asked, so I said, why not just put the schools in the capital? I didn't need the presentation because the capital I could read, and it's just a bunch of trucks and grinding stuff, but that's on me.
Okay.
I think I asked
Thank
Jill
you.
to put it on, but yeah, that's on me.
So what happened was in the docket meeting, we weren't able to confirm that we would actually have the budget
that's correct.
for the council by the time of the meeting. So then we discussed so that you could get a head start putting the capital budget and the school budget. Once you didn't have the information.
That makes
That's
more
correct.
sense. Well, if the budget wasn't ready for today, technically, by that meeting, then that would make.
Not a printed version, that's correct.
Okay.
It's
All
absolutely
right.
So when will we have the printed versions? We had them last year. At the time, the mayor's presentation was made on the 20th of August, 2023, and then we had it.
I can print them out right now, Council.
No, it'd be
Vice President.
great. So,
It'd
so
be-
we'd have them, ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you,
We'll also
everyone.
Have copies made for the clerk so that she can make it available to the public per charter. That is what we have to do. But as long as you receive the budget by yesterday evening, we're following charter rules.
Next item, please.
So going back to council members and those items, correct? So city council administration communication discussion, Council President Roberts from page 5.
So I'm back to page 5 of the agenda, and this was, Ms. Resende, you might as well come back up. Thank you. It was the ongoing discussion that we as a council are having with administration and department heads and communication and trying to adhere to the charter. I had a discussion, met with our solicitor. So basically, the city charter prohibits council members from dealing directly with city staff, personnel, department heads. There was one sentence in the paragraph that gives some confusion, Mr. Solicitor, when it talks about other than inquiries. But as you explained to me, inquiries might mean more of the council retains a right to investigate or investigate a department or not necessarily a person. So if you can elaborate on that, I think basically the cleanest way here to handle this, because I think all 5 members here have made it clear we do not want to dictate to any staff member or department heads. But administration needs to know that we're not potted plants. We're elected officials. We have a constituency. We get phone calls. We get emails about minor issues to major issues. And there isn't an elected official anywhere worth their weight that doesn't want to get back the constituents. And so that's our dilemma. So right now, the funnel technically would be to go directly through the chief of staff or the mayor directly. We've tried by contacting, let's say, the DPW head and copying the mayor's office, either the chief of staff. So just want to get this cleaned up tonight. Councilman?
And just to read the language in the charter, it says, except for the purpose of inquiry, the council and its members shall deal with the administration service solely through the mayor, and neither the council nor any member thereof shall give orders to any subordinate of the mayor, publicly or privately. So the question is, by charter, do we have the right to email a department head? We've been doing that with Patricia on it, but then I was told I'm not allowed to email department heads. So I just want to know, by charter, do I have the authority to be able to email just for inquiry department heads?
I'm sorry, I don't have the charter in front of me, but look at the powers of the council and the list of powers of the council. It uses the same word inquiry, another inquiry of basically investigations. So that, except for purposes of inquiry, relates back to that power of the council when they want to like investigate a department and whatnot. That's what that is commonly.
So you're saying this charter doesn't give us the ability to contact the department head?
No, not directly.
Okay.
So I think the common sense approach, well, go ahead. Go
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, to me, a common sense approach is the proof is in the pudding. Let's email. And I asked the mayor yesterday when I asked him about this, and I said, we obviously can contact you directly. And he said, yeah. He said, that mayor's office, which Patricia, you can explain, that email goes to about 5 people, right? Or 4 people in the staff. And what I would say is email the chief of staff or those 4 people, that mayor, that East Providence, whatever the email is. If you don't hear back right away, then we know we have an issue. Let's try to tighten it and give that a chance. Call me right away and yell at me, say, look, I did it your way. We went through the channels. We followed the charter, and Ms. Rezende or the mayor or his aide didn't get back to me. And I've got to call my constituent. Then I will get on it and get it solved. Unless someone has a better explanation, maybe charter language can be changed. We know we're facing that coming up to say that, but this is still part of the different form of government and growing pain. So what's your take on it?
So my take is we're all a team and we all answer to the residents of this city and we all want to work collaboratively. And anyone who knows my work ethic knows I want to be able to get you an answer as quickly as possible. When you say like immediately, there are sometimes inquiries that I get at 7 a.m., text messages. So the inquiries come in all different ways. So if we could come together with one cohesive way. I know it's worked for the councilwoman. She does most of the time Q alerts, and that's great. It goes right to the right department head, the right department in that process. Council Vice President will send or forward an email from a constituent, CC us on it, we'll respond and work out that way. The council from Ward 4 will send me daily emails with information. Sometimes there's 1 or 2, sometimes it's 5 or 6. So I a day. So I am able to, within reason, get those answers. Now, some of them are very quick. Hey, how do I get this to this constituent? I'm able to do that. Some of them are a little bit more in depth. Provide me a list of this, which takes some time, and I have to reach out to department heads to gather that information. But if there's ever an issue of timeliness, please reach out. I kind of, that's my work ethic, to be always on, if you will. And I try to do my best. I think I've answered your calls on email, via emails, on weekends, evenings, while I'm in Portugal, all of the above. That being said, it is easier for me to be able to answer that. There is an email. It's mayor's office at eastprovidenceri.gov. The public does in fact use that. But if it's something like a tree or trash not being picked up, that would be the best place because it is monitored by multiple employees. If it's something a little bit more in depth, please reach out to me directly. The issue sometimes is this, Council President and members of the council, is sometimes, like as you've seen here from, I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I've experienced it, being disrespected, yelled at here during this public forum. So imagine department heads being contacted by this body and not providing an answer that maybe you've received. So there have been department heads who have reached out to say they've been contacted. There are employees who have reached out to say they've been contacted via text. So yes, charter says to do it that way. Unfortunately, not everyone is always adhering to that. So there are multiple times where I'm receiving an inquiry that went to an employee via text from a council person, and I wasn't aware of it. I'm not CC'd on it. So there's a lot of that happening. But if we could come together, I'd love to be able to move forward together with having a set way to be able to answer all of your questions for your constituents and give you all the information that you need to be able to do what you need to do as an elected body.
Okay, so let's,
I mean,
yes.
so I say education, when you say the word inquiry, that means to ask. Also, you're being very nice. It also, look, it also means to ask a question.
So, yeah, so
So inquiry doesn't just mean an investigation. It means to ask a question.
you have to look into the powers of the council, which is at 2-9.
I'm saying the word inquiry.
Yeah.
If you go to Webster's dictionary, inquiry means to ask a question as well.
I'm not disputing that, but again, just my opinion, and disagree with it, that's fine. On the powers of the council, it says, section number 6, inquire into the conduct of any office, department, or agency of the city and make investigation as to municipal affairs. And for such purposes, the council may subpoena witnesses and gives you that authority, okay? So that's a specific power of the council to inquire into the conduct of any offices. So then you have can't interfere with the day-to-day operations of the government except for purposes of inquiry. And in my humble opinion, and that's a common provision in many different charters, when it says except for purposes of inquiry, they're referring back to the council's ability to investigate, inquire into the conduct of any office or department. Because otherwise it would make no sense, right? You can't have the power here under section 6 and then say you can't interfere with the day-to-day operations of the government ever except for purposes of inquiry. So it relates back to that power. So that's all I'm saying. Does it mean that you can't call up a department and say, hey, what's going on? How are you today? No, that's not the purpose. But that's the gist.
Just to piggyback on what the solicitor is saying, Council President, members of the council, is that I want to be able to give you information. I mean, my background has always been communications. I want to communicate the information that you're looking for to you to be able to get it back to our residents, right? It's just a matter of if you're reaching out to one person and they don't have it, but they're assuming that the council member has reached out to me as well. And then I'm here during a council meeting representing our office or the administration, and you're asking me about something that I have no idea about because you've been texting an employee or emailing a department head, and I'm not aware of it. I can't do my job well to provide you the information that you need to then provide to your residents, our residents.
So let's all go by the strict interpretation of the charter, send the questions to the mayor's office, and if you send something on a Monday and at the end of the day you haven't heard, call me. You have my word that I will then follow up and say, where's the response? You know, and we're all using common sense. If we're in a Dunkin' Donuts and the DPW director is next to me, and you know, I have no problem in saying, "Hey, Dan, how's that paving project going on X Street or something?" You know, but I'm not directing him.
So my concern was, I
you.
thought we agreed that every communication has Patricia on it. That's what I was doing.
Right. No, you
I never text. I don't know. who
right. The
did.
intent was there.
But then I was told no more because you can't have the department head. And to me, we talk about transparency and all of a sudden you're cutting off. So that was me. But hey,
Yep, I hear you.
as long as I know the rules, I'll play by them. And if you tell us we can't contact people for info, so be it.
And it's not to belabor it, but again, Council President and Councilman Lawson, there were times where department heads were contacted by email. I wasn't CC'd. Employees were receiving text
Not
messages.
for me.
So again, I don't want to belabor it, but yes, that has happened. That has occurred.
Sure.
And if it wasn't a department heads coming to me directly to say, hey, this is something I didn't feel comfortable with, and then, you know, this would be a non-issue, but we all
All
want
right,
to do
we'll-
this together. So
we'll-
obviously.
we'll make
common
it work.
sense
Yep.
is
We'll make it work. Let's move on.
I'm willing to do that.
Thank you.
Open discussion on the proposed plan to disperse 1.2 million meant for small business impacted by the bridge closure. Discuss, Councilman Lawson.
So I'm getting a lot of small business owners feeling a little insulted of the dollar amounts. And I'm not sure if the dollar amounts are low because the city of East Providence said we're taking half of our allocation for gift cards. But since we voted that down last week, I would like to see if we could ask our commerce if it's possible that the low end, the 500, be bumped up because, you know, these people, they got killed on December 11th when for like 5-6 days, it was deadlocked and you had businesses losing thousands and thousands of dollars. Personally, I think you focus on the main area, the Warren Ave, Waterman, Taunton, and then Massasoit, Broadway, Pawtucket corridor. That was gridlock where the egresses, ingresses of 195 were. Minimum 2,000. You know, help them pay their rent for that month or whatever. This, I mean, I'm hearing it's not even worth applying if I'm only getting 500. So I don't know who to talk to yet. I'm looking into it. I've been reading the application process. They're asking, you know, a bunch of questions stuff. There's only 2 weeks to apply. We're a week in, so I hope people know that they got less than a week to apply for this. But I'm going to do more info on the process and I'll get it to you all. But I just want to say that, you know, I hope the dollar amounts weren't low because we said we're taking half of our allocation. But if it's possible to put that allocation back in to bump up at least the minimum 500 to, I would prefer the low be 2,000, you know. Again, you can, certain parts of the city weren't affected as much. You know, down south, we didn't get hit as hard, you know. There may be some businesses that were affected that have a different model, but to me, why we're not focusing right on that core that really got nailed where people couldn't move. That's just, I'm just giving my 2 points. I'm speaking for the small business owners that, you know, feel disappointed, you know, for no fault of their own. That bridge is not safe and they bore the brunt of it and they deserve some compensation. So that's what I've got on that.
Oh, good point.
I agree.
Thank you. Next item.
Update on Volkswagen settlement funds for Sabin Point. Discuss, Councilman Lawson.
So years and years ago, it's funny, I saw an article you wrote on it, Council President. We received some money and the funds are for stormwater mitigation at Sabin Point. Those who know Sabin Point, you're at the bottom of a couple of hills. You got Bluff, you got Shore Road, other roads. The water comes in and the area by the basketball court, there's some basins that the water just sits. And when water sits, it breeds bacteria. So There was a nice presentation from Save the Bay, and it looks like we're close to that project moving. And what it's going to do is at the top of the hills, there'll be some catch basins. So the stormwater will go in those bases and hopefully it gets absorbed by the ground and it lessens the amount that flows down those hills. And then over near the basketball courts will be another catch basin that instead of those current basins that are just sitting there, it will keep the water more flowing into the pipe and stuff. So the good news is it looks like we're moving closer to that design to get it done. And, I was going to ask Save the Bay, but unless you guys feel the need for a presentation, but it's, I'm a Saving Point kid and, it's a good thing. So I just wanted to give that positive news that's moving forward.
Thanks. It is a question that comes up a lot, so
That's,
good to know it's moving.
that's,
Maybe when they're almost done, we can get a presentation on how it looks.
absolutely whatever you guys need.
Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Update on crosswalk light repairs and replacement citywide. Discuss, Councilwoman Souza.
Thank you. So this is something that I've had on the docket for months, on and off, probably for the better 6 months, is the two specific crosswalks in the city. One at Reynolds and Broadway in front of our fire station in the center of the city that has had a non-functioning crosswalk light. And the one that is on Warren Ave and Purchase right around 7th Street. Both are very busy roads, see high volume traffic, especially on Broadway, where we know is consistently congested with backed up traffic and a lot of vehicles all hours of the day coming down that road. It has been an ongoing safety issue for the community. Many residents have and still continue to reach out wondering why that this has been brought up to the city and still has not been fixed. Last, the administration had mentioned, the update from the DPW director was that there was a piece that was ordered and still has not come in. I find it very difficult to believe that a piece to a lighting fixture would take more than 4 months unless it's coming from somewhere, I don't know, across the world. It's very disheartening to the residents. I see people crossing all the time with children and animals, and it's in front of our public safety building. So it certainly should be a place where people feel safe to cross, and they don't. So I ask again respectfully for the administration to expedite the operation of that crosswalk on Broadway and Reynolds so that residents can safely cross to the park, or to the school. We have children that are walking to school now that we're back in session. Again, it's not a safe road, and we already know in the last couple of weeks that there have been pedestrian vehicle incidences throughout the city. So we're trying to avoid that happening in this specific area, especially since it's something that has been brought to the attention multiple times. So I would really like respectfully an update with proof that something has been ordered and that there has been communication saying that this is the reason why it's delayed, so that the public knows that it's something that the city is moving forward and has put in place to get going. There is truly an actual delay or discontinued piece. I mean, if we have to just, in my opinion, take the whole thing down and put up a new one, it's better than just sitting around doing nothing, waiting for something bad to happen. And again, Warren Avenue, a very high traffic area. Cars go down that road pretty quickly because there really isn't any traffic lights until you get to Lyons Ave. Again, we're in between two schools and parks with neighbors. Children are walking, parents are walking, a lot of pedestrians, businesses. I'd hate to see there be a significant injury or fatality on those two roads when it's been something that's been discussed and brought to the attention that needs to be addressed. So it'll be on the docket again until I can get an update.
Thank you. I'd ask that, Director Rossini, did you pick up on that? You make notes, right? Okay, so we'll follow up. Thank you. Next item?
Oh, can I just add one more
Yes,
thing?
please.
Kind of affects this, but the solicitor might not agree. So I do think that it is great. We have the digital sign at the fire station trying to remind people not to block the entrance, which when there's a live safety patrol there, then they don't block it, but when they're not, they do block it. So that's kind of ironic. But could we have, please, them not obstruct the sidewalk? So that's been an issue that I've been getting a lot of calls and texts and emails about, that either the sign or the traffic control vehicle or police vehicle is also obstructing the sidewalk, where then they have to go into the street, which we know there is no emergency breakdown lane in the street now because we're using double lanes. So if they could park somewhere where they're not obstructing the walkway for residents to utilize that sidewalk in that area, would be greatly appreciated.
Are you talking on Freeborn in the corner?
I'm talking on Broadway in front of the where the fire station is.
Okay,
And
so
the-
before the entrance to the highway.
No, so you're walking from Grove.
Oh, okay,
To-
closer to Grove.
Right, so in front of the funeral home,
Yeah.
going to the fire station, there's
Okay.
usually a patrolman there or a traffic control person, making sure that people aren't blocking during the high peak travel, but their vehicle is typically parked blocking the walkway. So
So-
might be an oversight, not realizing.
And just that, because while we're talking, just got a text that Washington Bridge demolition work is being halted to preserve evidence for the state lawsuits. I don't know, we were supposed to close Waterfront Drive starting tonight, so I don't know if that, yeah. Just want to let folks know, so
Thank
when we start getting calls.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next item.
Update on Ward 1 traffic study requested 9/3/24. Discuss Council Vice President Rigo.
Thank you. Just as an update, we had the meeting, sent the inquiry into the mayor's office. We read the letter. We still are getting questions about it, and just want to update that I have had no communication as far as the process for this study. And I think you hear about it now about crosswalks and walking and everything. I think it's a city issue, and we really have to do something about I know it's a double-edged sword about speeding and everything. People don't want the cameras. They do want the cameras. They want everything like that. But it has impacted the neighborhoods. And as the councilman just said, now every time there's a delay in the bridge, Councilwoman Souza's ward and my ward get impacted the most because of the diversionary tactics as far as taking different routes to get around that. It impacts the situation. The only email I can say off the record is to a constituent where it didn't seem like the mayor was in support of having a traffic study. But if I'm gonna invest in the future of the city, as far as red light cameras, etc., I think these things need to go hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Try to follow up on that. Next item.
Update on opening contract with East Providence Fire Department for implementation of Fourth Rescue. Discuss Council Vice President Rigo.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to read a letter to go into the record, and I'll provide this to the clerk. So the documentation, but this letter is to the Honorable Roberto da Silva, the mayor of the city of East Providence. It says, "Dear Mayor Roberto da Silva, I am following up on the request made on the 5th of December, 2023 for the planning and implementation of the 4th full-time rescue. This was followed up by a council resolution 137 signed on June 4th, 2024 with unanimous council support for a 4th full-time rescue. In a recent press release, you announced that the city of East Providence will receive a $3.75 million SAFER grant to hire 12 new firefighters. In your letter dated August 6, 2024, you affirm that this is your goal to add rescue coverage where needed. Can you please let the council know what the plan is to add additional rescue service serving the city of East Providence, where this has been placed in the budget, and how do you anticipate 12 new firefighters was part of the ongoing plan? So we were told back in December that we needed a class. The class is there. We have the money. So I think it's time that we get the 4th rescue. So if you don't mind giving this to the clerk so she can process this for the record. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Madam.
Through the chair. I know we have a gentleman in the audience who has an item on the docket, so I would ask for unanimous consent to move up section E, introduction of ordinances, number 1.
Yes, so without objection, let's do that on page 7. Madam Clerk, if you could read the heading, he should be right back. We'll wait for Councilman Lawson to return, but if you want to read how the motion is stated. This was brought back from prior meetings.
For discussion and possible vote, motion to remove from table and set hearing date for potential zone comprehensive plan change for the location 0 Wampanoag Trail, map 709, block 1, parcel 1. It's a petition for a zone change from an I-1 to a C2.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is made to untable, place the next meeting, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. Yes, I'm sorry.
It's actually not going to be the next meeting. It'll be, we got to
I
advertise for
apologize.
3 weeks. So whatever date, we'll let the applicant know, but it's going to be advertised for at least 3 weeks.
So my motion is to just untable it.
Table it and we'll bring it back after the advertisement has been completed. How's that?
Make a motion to untable and bring it back when advertiser needs are met.
Yes, thank you.
And I would also want to add to this, just for food for thought here, is that the budget, we're up against it because we didn't receive the budget until today, which is at the maximum point where we could get it in 45 days.
No, Frank, we got it last night.
Sorry, we got it last night. I didn't get it last
An inactive link.
night. You didn't get it. But anyways, that's fine. But we got it last night. I will say that we've already had we have a schedule for the budget hearings, and now that the clock is ticking between advertising and everything, and we've said this before, that we were going to limit what we were going to do. So I have no problem unhinging this and seeing if they're going to come back with a proposal that they can tell us what it is instead of, like a Fantasy Island situation. But I will wait till after, I think we should wait till after the budget in November, just to give them next couple of hearings. Our meetings are going to be full throttle with this budget. I think. That's my feeling.
Okay, so but the motion tonight is just to untable.
But I don't want 3 weeks. I'm not going to be. We don't need to put something else on our plate when we have more important things, which is the budget right now for the citizens of East Providence. We did that. We've made that comment already about with the planning department with the new plan. So that is what we're going to do. I'm going to wait till after the budget process, the new plan. Thank you. So motion.
Seconded
Yep.
by Councilwoman Souza. On discussion, the attorney is here. Judge Meyer, did you want to add anything?
So thank the council for setting up the hearing. I understand from watching all evening that you've got a variety of issues. We got to advertise. My friend, and then he has done some marketing and he has some information to impart to you that's new. So I want you to know that.
Right,
I
thank-
appreciate that you've got, as of 30 seconds ago, another issue that we're not going to solve any traffic problem very, very soon. So you're going to have a lot of, besides the budget, other issues.
Is it a burden on your client if we wait till November after we do the budget process to vote, or?
No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that, you know, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we got at least a month to advertise.
Okay. Okay.
And we got 200 foot of butters to notify. And so,
Okay.
whatever that is. But I thank you for
Let's shoot
letting
for
us.
November, first meeting in November.
first
Okay.
of November. Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
patience. Judge, we would have brought you up sooner, but your,
Oh, I was, it was
your
very
counterpart,
educational.
Solicitor Marcello said, make him wait. So,
Oh, yeah. Well,
thank you, though.
thank you very much.
We call for a vote.
Okay, good idea. Yes, so,
Did anybody second my motion?
yes, Councilwoman Souza seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. 3-4-0. Thank you. Next, go back to the regular agenda. We're keeping you hopping, Madam Clerk.
We can handle it.
We can handle it.
So under public hearings, we have ordinance section 18-307. No parking on Somerset Avenue and Arrowhead Avenue and Pittsford Avenue. Sponsor Council President Roberts and Councilman Lawson.
So Councilman Lawson and myself have visited the site many times. We know through the years with the recreational activities there, parking has been an issue. I think we've discussed this before. So it's this was needed to just shore up the legalities and get some signage there. So it is public hearing.
If people are asking, this is the Riverside Rec, Somerset Ave.
And a couple of the neighbors have been very cooperative. They actually sit in their lawns and they watch the activities. They enjoy seeing the kids and families there. But when cars park on both sides of the street, I know the councilman and myself were trying to direct traffic one night. I mean, you just can't get through. And it's not a cliche. There was a night when a rescue could not get to a side street, had to go around the block. So we have to shore this up. So there's no other discussion from the council. I'll open it up to a public hearing. Any members of the public here that have any comments on this? Any members want to come forward of the public to comment on this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. What is your pleasure, council?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Lawson to approve. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next item.
Standing item, discuss impact of Washington Bridge closure in City of East Providence.
So Councilman Lawson, you kind of let the cat out of the bag. What's going on over there?
Me and Councilman Rigo received a text from the reporter asking, basically, this is the first I heard, Washington Bridge demolition work being halted to preserve evidence for the state law schools. The news just broke. We got this about an hour ago, so a couple hours ago probably. So I know that the plan was to close Waterfront Drive tonight at 10 p.m. until next Monday. That's all I know, buddy. That's all I know. So it is what it is until we got a bridge back. I did notice though, because I go waterfront every day to get over to Brown, going over the bridge. What?
Not too heavily.
I thought you told me to watch my language.
No, that doesn't work. I've tried.
So if you notice, like behind the sculpture park, it's already coming down.
Yeah.
So they've been, and the jackhammering, I guess some folks were a little upset, but if it was only going to last a week, that would have been okay. However, who knows? Now that they want to preserve evidence for lawsuits, I don't know. I got no answers. So, like I said, we just found out via text during the meeting. So,
Well, seeing how they still don't have a company to build a new one, I guess it's all relative.
I got some what are those, the Lincoln Logs or whatever they used to, Tonka toys, Tinker toys. There we go. Yeah, folks, it is time that we come together. You know, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do as a city council, as the city administration. We're at the mercy of RIDOT. So, and the courts now. Yep. And the courts. And is the AG running the lawsuits now?
The case is in the name of the AG, but there are two private attorneys who are running it. And I'm assuming, I'm sure that the defendant bridge people probably filed the motion to preserve evidence default to stop the. He actually stopped it. Oh, so then he filed a motion. So
What was it? 12 different lawsuits?
there's a lot of defendants, one suit, I believe.
Right, but like a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different businesses.
One suit, but there are like 12
Yeah.
more defendants, yes.
So one of them probably is asking for.
Apparently the AG, I didn't see the press release, but apparently the AG has asked for,
Okay.
they would need to preserve evidence, I guess. So which is not uncommon in
Right.
litigation, but it's
Right.
uncommon because it's a public bridge.
Right. Now I will say it shouldn't affect our current traffic patterns the way they've been for the last month or two. This bridge work being halted, it shouldn't affect anything.
Right. I think it's more of it's a critical news item, but it's not affecting the flow. It's affecting the timetable,
I just hope
probably,
my
which
boss.
is not good. I'm not saying it's a good thing.
I just hope my boss ain't watching because that was my excuse to go in late tomorrow.
Rigo will send the tape to him. Next item, please.
City Council to schedule and select date for public hearing on mayor's proposed FY25 budget.
I don't have any obligations, so I am pretty open. If Mondays can be avoided, but if we have to, I can be available. But other than that, I don't have any vacation, family to anything like that. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
So as the calendar.
Yes, Mr. Solicitor.
We had met with you, Council
Yes,
President,
we did.
Vice President and Jill, to kind of come up with a schedule. This October 1st date was contingent upon us getting approval from the Department of Revenue on a proposed ad, which reflects the mayor's budget. We were a little nervous that we weren't going to get the approval until maybe later this week, but Malcolm was here earlier, and apparently the approval came from the Department of Revenue today at 6 o'clock. So that this date can be met if the advertisement goes in this Thursday, which I think the clerk has reserved the spot in the post for this ad to go in. So the schedule that we discussed amongst ourselves is the October 1st would be the first public hearing. After that public hearing, then you guys, the council can start making changes or discussing it, but nothing prevents you from having workshops between now and October 1st as well. Something.
so the first was our regularly scheduled next meeting.
For the hearing, I'm sorry, Jill.
Okay.
October 8th for the- Okay, so October 1st for the advertisement, and then October 8th for another hearing, I believe that was,
How many meetings have to be advertised? 2?
at least 2. And then it depends upon what you do. If you add to the budget, it has to be advertised again, so.
Yeah, that's the key. If we take away, we don't have.
So if we do October 1st as the next, that is the first one that has to be advertised?
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
first one to advertise. I know it gets a little confusing because we
No,
get
that's fine.
advertisement and so.
That's
We
why we
also
pay
have-
you the big bucks.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. So look at the gray hair. So we have tentatively scheduled a workshop for the 24th, which is kind of like what you did today with the school department, right? You had a workshop on, you can call anybody on the 24th next week. And that's up to you if you guys want, excuse me, if the council doesn't want to have it on the 24th, that's up to you to decide. But definitely October 1st, we need that, at least that deadline, because that that helps us meet the final deadline by the end of October. So
Would the 24th need to be advertised?
no, except for
24 hours.
The normal
48 hours.
48.
The normal
48
48
hours,
hours.
So I would suggest, let us read the budget to see what we need. I don't think we need every department head coming through. Again, I haven't had time to go through it yet, but
Oh, that's a good point. I mentioned to the mayor's office that we probably won't require every
right.
department to come in, whichever ones the members want to question.
Right.
We'll get word to the mayor's office, to the clerk or someone.
Yeah, I'd like to get my questions together and then,
Sure.
you know,
I mean, obviously, police, fire, DPW, finance, things like that.
even that I may not need,
Yeah, there may be some
you know.
fire, pretty straightforward, but, all right, so we'll start the advertisement, Madam Clerk. You
So
can.
I just need you to vote
Thursday.
to set the hearing date for October 1st.
Okay,
And then the clerk will take care of the advertisement, and then we'll wait to hear from you. If you want to have a hearing on the 24th, workshop on the 24th, the clerk will just have to post that meeting as a workshop, and you'll have to let us know.
48 hours.
By this Friday.
Yeah,
So is there a motion to,
I'll make a motion that we schedule October 1st for our first advertised budget meeting,
public
Hearing.
hearing with the public hearing
on the mayor's proposed budget.
of the mayor's proposed budget.
motion by Councilman Lawson? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have. it.
Now,
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, you'll keep us surprised of well, that's the only date right now, anyway.
If we hear from you that you want to have a meeting on the 24th, we just let the clerk know. We have to
Okay.
post it, and then.
well, I
um,
think, can we just get that? Because we discussed this already at the last meeting. So I don't think we need to discuss it. If
Probably
we
will.
want to just put it in writing now, black and white, it saves us emails and communication. So
Sure.
I'm more than available for Tuesday, the 24th workshop. I think we have the 15th, October 15th for the second public hearing. We have our October 22nd meeting. I know I made a note that the council's last final changes could be only be made on the 21st of October, with regards to, so if on the 15th, for whatever reason, there's a change and an addition in the budget, then we would have to advertise again.
We'll be on the dates, but I think correct. If there's
Yeah.
any additions need to be advertised.
Right, so the 21st,
I think and that's 5 day, that's a 5-day notice.
Right.
Or 7-day notice, I think.
So how does the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, and the 21st sound?
right,
All budget workshops.
Yeah, so
hearings, public,
all Tuesdays and then the Monday for the final vote, unless you want to do the final vote on 22nd.
We're doing next. So
No, not next week.
we talked about the 24th.
Mhm.
Because, and then the first is the advertisement. Next week's a workshop.
Mhm.
And then the first is the public hearing, the public hearing, it's got to be advertised.
And then, I'm sorry.
And then.
After that, if the public hearing ends and you want to have a workshop after that public hearing that day, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
So the first one could be both.
Then if we make changes, if we don't make changes on the first, and we make them on the 8th,
Yes.
now it's 5 days, right?
Either 5 or 7, I think.
5 or 7.
So we were going to reserve that Thursday for the post,
Yeah, the 10th.
depending on what you do. So then that will be, then that'll go for the next meeting, which was, I think, was the 15th.
The 15th. And then the 15th is the last one.
Potentially, but
Potential last.
unless you make changes again, then we got to re-advertise some stuff.
Then we have to go to Monday the 20th, but then we're up against the clock with the post because the Tuesday,
Right.
because now if it goes out on a Thursday, we're only at 4 days.
We could use the journal too. We got a little bit of a backup.
right, so just rule of thumb, the 21st of October is the last and final public hearing on the vote for the budget if we need that day.
Just to be on the safe side.
'Cause that gives 10 days for the veto.
Right, so we can
Okay.
hold that as a placeholder. I think.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
better
I
to
mean, yeah,
have
we're holding,
everything as a
yeah, we're holding the
placeholder.
dates. But if we switch anything on the 21st, now
No,
we're
you
up.
can't.
No, we can't. We
Right.
got to approve it, whatever we got to do, because
Exactly.
then we're up against the clock.
I just want to make a note also that on our calendar, November 5th is the election day and it's a council meeting day, so we're not going to be in session.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why? Are they gonna, there's no voting here. I'm joking.
City.
I'm joking.
So just to clarify for the clerk and myself, are you going to keep the work session on the 24th for next week?
Yes,
And you'll let us know what departments you want to bring in.
Yeah,
potentially.
I'd rather have some time, but if you guys are gonna meet, I'd rather. Okay.
21st, 24th, and then the 1st.
I just don't know what we're doing.
I mean, yeah, now we're being crunched. There's original, I mean, we just got the budget last night at whatever time. So now
So
we're,
you want to do the 24th, the 1st?
first we have to by law.
The 8th, the 15th, and the 21st. We're just putting place, yes.
Placeholders for those dates.
24th, yeah.
And
And excuse me, I don't interrupt. The first can be after the public hearing is over, then you can have a work session additional that day.
and traditionally, I mean, not all members with work schedules and other things make all hearings as long as we have a quorum.
The
Okay.
first also is a regular scheduled council meeting. It's the first Tuesday of the month.
Oh, and I think that's what the council president, keep the docket light, so we can.
So
Yeah,
we did-
try to.
Yeah.
A little heavy, I think.
Oh, stop it.
All right. so
Okay, so
we're
that's
moving on.
set. Next, Madam Clerk.
Resolution to authorize the mayor to purchase new helmets for the fire department from Firemax Supply Company Incorporated. Sponsor Council President Rodrick, City Councilman Fogarty.
So move.
Second?
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, the council still didn't address the election day council meeting on November 5th. So can we just put it on the docket for next council meeting unless the council wants to make a decision now on,
So
You want to do day before, day after?
the 12th, the 12th,
Now, right? Yeah.
12th.
we can do it the 12th, the following Tuesday.
Fine.
Make that change. Do we have to vote on that? No. Okay.
Who made that schedule? Did I make that? Put November 5th on it?
Because you said
It
you
always
weren't.
falls on an
You're
election.
going to vote quickly.
That makes sense. But they won't be voting in here because early voting ends, what, the day before? Day before. So.
So I move to go into executive session.
Do we have to go or can we do it right here?
No, we have to go.
There's one item we have to go.
Yes, item A.
We can do the claims
If we do have
here
to go,
and.
yeah. Why, I
I'd
just,
rather go into executive session.
okay.
On everything, yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, so we will. Yes. Yes, let me go back to the. Where's that page? Oh, I think it's, here we go. So the council will meet in executive session pursuant to general laws 42-46-5, A and 1, personnel with notice given, A, the city clerk, and we have 4 claims. And those are different, 42-46-5, A and 2, the claims of Mario Carrera, William Nichols, Edward Tangway, sewer charge abatement, JMB Enterprises. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Moved.
Motion by Councilwoman Souza, seconded by Councilman Lawson to go to executive session. We will return to public session.
Aye.
Aye.
Definitely.
The meeting is, the video is going to end now, folks. We're just going to do some claims, so there's nothing for us to come back to. So we're going to let the IT guy go home. And the minutes will reflect everything we do in session, all the claims.